welcome here by Alfa Chicks. We would like to take the opportunity to welcome everyone here for this Farmers' Day event. Just turn around and maybe just say hi to the guy next door or in front or at the back so everybody know who, you know, just to break the ice. Alright, first of all, I would like to just say there is smoking buckets outside, or if some of you guys want to smoke, there's smoking buckets outside. On my right hand side we've got the bathrooms if you need to go somewhere. Alright, so first of all, I'm not going to take any more time. I would like to thank all the guests for their support and participation. Thank you so much. And also now I would like to start by thanking Bush Lorry Lodge personnel, girls standing right over there, Evelyn, Miriam, Peppy, and Liana, and yes, she's also the chef, she and Harry. So yes, okay, now we can start by, for the Alfa Chicks personnel, for all their hard work planning this day. We would like to thank them for everything, and with no delay, I would like to introduce you to them as well. The three ladies standing here. If I call your name, just walk one step forward, please. Lindy, Naomi, and Shirley. These three girls are doing all the sales. They are the admin girls at Alfa Chicks, and they really do work hard. And we would like to thank them for all the planning and everything. So yes, thank you. Maybe give them a round of applause. Okay, and then for unforeseen circumstances, one of our owners can't make it, Mr. Dion Jansen van Rensburg, but he would like to thank each and everyone here for your participation here, and thank you for your time being here. And the other two owners I would like to introduce is Harry and Gustav. So let's give them a hand of applause. Thank you so much. And then, last but not least, we've got our drivers from Alfa Chicks. They're a little bit more than usual, but luckily we've got two here attending. One Hans, and Beatrice. These guys are traveling very, very far. They do up to 1,200 kilometers a day sometimes, just to travel and deliver chicks for all the guests. Okay, so I would like to start by thanking our let's give a great hand of applause for the next couple of people, the sponsors. So as I call their names, I would like them to stand up so everybody can see who they are. Special thanks to the following sponsors. Please stand up as I call out your names. Afrivet. Okay, there she at the back. Okay, Super Agri Science. Okay, thank you. Agri, where are you? Okay, there's one standing there. Thank you for being here. Ross, South Africa. Thank you, Ross, South Africa. And Toyota, Pretoria North. Where are you? There you go. And the vehicle standing outside for you to check out a little bit later. And Endura. There you go. And we've got the doctor here as well, which we're going to meet just a little bit later. Okay, and then Kitov. And thank you for the hamper. He brought us a hamper. So we would like to thank him. And Elanco. There you go. Thank you. All right. So we would like to thank... Oh, Diag. Where is Diag? Get up. Hey. Thank you. All right, so I don't think I left anybody out. If I did, sorry, I'm new in this. And yes, just look at all the beautiful setups they did here. Would you like to give them a hand of applause for coming in and present all their stuff here? All right, and then I would like to thank Gustav for setting up the sound. And then also Gideon and Jonathan for the videographing. Thank you for your time. All right, and then finally, I would like to mention that the video will be posted on Alfa Chicks Facebook, YouTube, and also the website. So if you would like to look at it later. All right. With no delay, let me welcome our first presentation held by Ross South Africa, John Bester. Thank you.
Goeiemôre julle. Dankie dat ons ook kan deel wees van die dag van julle Alfa Chicks is 'n boeredag. Ja, ek het nou 'n paar mense al ontmoet en aangename kennis gesê. Ek's uit die Kaap uit, soos ek 'n bietjie snaaks klink dan ja, hou maar verby. Ja, ek het self 18 jaar braaikykens geboer. Ek het nou die laaste 7 jaar was ek by Quantum Foods. Ek het actually vir my oom geboer. En ja, hy het besluit hy is nog genoeg hoenders geboer, hy het sy plaas nou verkoop. En ja, dat ek geluk gekry om by Poultry se tegniese span aan te sluit en ja, ek geniet dit baie en leer ook baie. As daar miskien vrae is wat ek nie kan beantwoord nie, my vrou sal daai aantekeninge maak en sal ek maar terugkom na julle toe, maar ek sal my bes probeer om alles te kan beantwoord as daar enige vrae is. As dit nie in my presentation was, dan nou nie. Okay guys, today I'm going to talk about the fundamentals for good production, but firstly there's a few questions and you can win some prizes if you answer it correct or if you nearby, or what do you call it, if you're close to the right answer. Okay. So the first question, in South Africa, how many broilers do get slaughtered per day or per week? If anyone know. Kom maar, as jy net naby, dan kan ek vir jou, dan jy kry keppie en spice, daai hoender is lekker met die spice. 27 miljoen. Hoeveel? 10 miljoen. Okay, jy is baie naby, dis dan per week. 21.5 miljoen braaikykens word geslag per week. So, jy is die naaste, jy kan 'n keppie en 'n bietjie spice kry. I say. Okay, okay. This is a makkelijk, easy one. How many bones do a chicken have? 21.5 million per week, almost 3.1 million per day in South Africa. Yeah, 3.1. Okay. Who can take a good guess? How many bones do a chicken have? Come on, guys. Not you. Sorry, say again. 32. 32. Come on, you. No, not right. Next one. Close. One more guess. En 100 is bietjie nader. Okay, is 120. That's it. Okay, next question. How long does it take an egg to develop inside the hen? Okay, I can say it's in hours. How many hours? Sorry? Right, the first one, correct. Good. Yeah, 24 is actually, it's 25, but it's, yes, so it's 24, 25. Depends on the hen. Okay, I have only 5 questions, so it won't take long. If you warm up an egg, at what temperature does the embryo start to develop? At what temperature?
37 degrees.
No.
28.
Nearby. Anyone else? So a bit further. Where's mom? 24. Yeah, so it's fine. Okay, our last question. Why do we observe birds with yellow and white feet? Anyone?
Die geel is lekkerder.
Ja, can you see? Say again. Okay, yeah, but it's cause of genetics and the feed that they are eating. So yeah, that is the reason, Lydia, okay, there's the answer. It consists of 2 parts. Genetic potential of the birds differ. The difference will depend on the mix of the bloodlines in the genes, but that is dominated. So, for example, if you have a bird that has genetics potential for yellow legs, when you feed it, you will see the yellow is coming out more. But if the genetics is a white leg, you can feed yellow maize as much as you want, it's not going to get yellow. Okay? So yeah, we'll see if that last Cap and Spice will ask a question later. Okay. Yeah, now I'm going to start with my presentation. As we all know, there's no magic involved in growing broilers. It is good planning, preparation, and a lot happens before your new chicks arrive for your next cycle. So your foundations must be solid and milestones must be reached. Okay, so when your chickens is out, then you must start to prepare. Okay, so firstly, you make sure to remove all of your old manure. Then your washing and your disinfection must be done 100%. And then you get your new batch of shavings as well, and then your disinfection also on your shavings must be done well. And if you have a good team on your farm or your site, it also helps because you know your job is going to be done right. Okay, so your principles of brooding, that's the most important. Temperature, feed, water, light, and air, ventilation. So if all of that principles is in place, that will take your cycle to the moon. But only if one of those, maybe the feed isn't right, temperature isn't right, then your cycle will be murtu. So yeah, so make sure your fundamentals is 100%. Temperature when you're placing chickens, floor temperature, your feed availability, your feed quality that you gave to your chickens. Water quality is also playing a big role. And then ventilation and your lights, your light intensity, your light program that you use. If I can ask, light programs, what are you guys doing on this time? What light programs are you looking at?
Well, Eskom do it for me.
Okay, if you have Eskom. Are you guys, it's fine?
I cycle mine between 2 hours and 1 hour. So 1 hour sleep, 2 hours awake. 1 hour asleep, 2 hours awake during night time.
Okay. For the whole cycle or just for the
No, in the
brooding?
beginning you introduce it slowly.
Okay.
1 hour sleep, then they stay awake, and then 3 days later, 2 hours sleep, they stay awake.
The other day we have a visit from Avigen's guys that is coming from Spain and the other guys from Netherlands. They said that we must start looking because the gut development, I'm going a bit forward on my presentation, but I just want to tell you about the light program. They say the gut development is so important. So at least for the first 4 to 5 days, you must get your gut development right. So you must only try to sleep only 1 hour for the first to 5 days. Then you can go on your long sleep for 6 or 8 hours, depend on how the chicken's doing, what the weight on 7 days is, what your 7-day mortality is doing. Okay. Okay, my broiler farm has poor performance. Why? But the farm has good management, but still my weight FCR is not good. Could it be one of your fundamentals? Temperature, feed, water, air, or light? So make sure, guys, if you get new chicks and you place your new birds, make sure all your fundamentals is in place. Okay? So by providing chicks with a good start in life is essential to succeed good health, welfare, uniformity and performance for the rest of the chick's life. So if you don't have a good start, you're going to struggle for the rest of the cycle, you're going to struggle. So make sure your feed availability is right, your water availability is right, your temperature is right. Yeah, that's all important stuff that you must look at when getting your new birds. So the objective is, for brooding, it's very important to develop early feed intake and water intake. Because without the feed and water, the birds won't grow. And you won't reach your target weights. And the uniformity of your flock won't be good. Okay, there's the standards that Avigen gave us. For 7 days, around 208 grams. 14 days, 587 grams, 21 days, 985, and then 28 days, 1.573, and 35 days, 2.2 kgs. So, yeah, like I explained, when you place the bird, say you have a 40 gram or 38 gram chick, they used to multiply by 4.5 to 4.8. If you take 38 grams times 4.5, that is what your 7-day weight is supposed to be. But if your fundamentals isn't right, you won't get it. Okay? So the goal of brooding, to get accelerated growth in the first week. That's where the bird is getting the best growth in your first 7 days. Then skeletal and cardiovascular development. Stimulate early feed intake, like I explained, is important, and to get your flock as uniform as you can. I know sometimes you get a young flock, older flock mixed, then it's not easy, but you must try and prepare to get it right. So without the optimum management during your brooding time, your flock performance will be compromised and cannot be reached, and you can't fix it later. If you are behind, you're behind. Every minute counts.
Okay, how do you stimulate early feed intake?
Okay, we normally tell the guys they must do floor coverage with paper. At Ross we say between 80 and 90% of your floor must be covered with paper. Then you use to do 3 to 4 times a day. You have to put some feed so that you can let the bird stand up and move and drink and start eating. Okay, and then also your light program also is helping, like this guy said, he's putting on off. That's also stimulating the birds, standing up, drinking, eating. Yeah, it's the brown paper that they use. Yeah, I think it's about 800 millimeters wide or less, I think. I'm not sure what the width is. Okay, when chickens are hatched, they have an immature gastrointestinal tract. It's also known as the digestive tract that starts at the mouth, and it's a few organs and also end at the cloaca. And the immature immune system, so they are vulnerable for any disease, and the immune cardiovascular system, and no thermal regulation, so the birds cannot regulate their own body temperature for at least the first 7 days. So you are the mother hen, so you must look after your birds, see that they get the correct temperatures. Okay, there's good house preparation. But they always be prepared for the unexpected. Sorry, I just take some water.
Hello, if there's some questions, just ask us for the mic so that you can talk over the mic. We're busy with the video, and for that question to come on the video, we need it to be on the mic. So if you want to ask a question, just ask for a mic.
So if you guys can see on this picture, this guy was expecting the unexpected. You can see there's good paper coverage. Like I said, this is the brown paper. The extra feeders, the scratch trays, mini drinkers, nipple lines is set right. So maybe you have a problem, Eskom is off, now you don't have power. Maybe you will have a problem of water. Anything can happen before the new chicks arrive. So be prepared for the unexpected. Okay. So house preparation, that is very important. Houses must be preheated 24 to 48 hours before chick arrival. So recommended environment conditions, your floor temperature must be around 28. Before you place any chick, make sure your floor temperature is 28 or concrete temperature is 28. And then your shaving temperature around 30 degrees, it will be fine. Then there's the shaving depth. Yeah, it's around 5 centimeters. And then for aiming around 50 chicks per square meter when placing birds. And also food and water must be freely available. They must have easy access. And then your lights can be as bright as you can get it for the first 7 days. There's just another one for good paper coverage. Okay. Yeah, on this picture you can see this preparation wasn't good at all. Where are they placing the birds? Onto the shavings. That's not correct. You want the birds to start eating immediately. So yeah, so you can start using the yolk as well. Get finished. If they're not taking in any feed, the yolk sac, it's not going to move out the yolk. So yeah, make sure your preparation isn't looking like this. Okay. There's another setup as well. Okay, like I said,
Johan,
yes.
How many food buckets and water?
Okay, so yeah, if you put the extra feed, scratch trays and mini drinkers like this ones, it must be 100 birds per scratch tray, 100 birds per mini font, and around 40 grams of feed for each chicken.
Okay, so and the drinkers, if you use don't use nipples.
Yeah, that's like I said, the mini drink is also like it's also 100 birds per mini font that we suggest from our side. Okay, and then the nipple lines height is very important. If you use nipples, make sure it's an eye level. Because the birds, they don't have good balance. It looks like they're standing like this underneath the nipple line, so they can't drink properly. So make sure it's on eye level, you can drink easy. Okay, there is the preparation, say if you have this old short time feeder pans or pans of the side that is very high, make sure you put it under concrete floor and then close it up with the shavings. That's helping a lot. Birds can reach the feed easily inside your feeder pans. And like you said, there's like I showed there, that's not right. The one on the left and the one on the right is the correct way. Okay, temperature control is also very, very important. Provide chickens with the correct temperature when arriving at your farm. You have to control and adjust the temperature for your chickens because they can't regulate their own temperature for the first 7 days. Your heating and ventilation systems must provide the environment where the birds stay in the neutral thermal zone. Neutral thermal zone is, if you take the cloaca temperatures, is between 39.4 and 40.5. That's also it's a good thing if you can take the probe, I think, thermo, just to take the temperatures for the bird, especially at the beginning. So if you can see your birds staying between 39.4 and 40.5, say you start your set point at 35 or 34, doesn't matter. And most of the birds, you're visiting the birds in your houses, you see all of them, the temperature is fine, you know you can drop it a little bit. But if you see your temperatures, you say 38, 37, you know, no, it's not right, I must stay on my set point where I am at this stage. Don't move down, stay on it so the birds can pick up or lift your set point or whatever you want to do just to get the temperature right on your birds. Okay, so birds must convert feed. They mustn't eat feed to stay warm, they must convert the feed. That's very important as well. So the environment must be correct. Chickens that are cold will limit activity and reduce feed or feed loss. Chickens that are too warm will lead to waste of energy, and overheat chickens will start panting and get rid of excess heat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry. In the winter, when your chicken house is not warm enough, then the chickens use the energy they produce from the feed to stay warm, and then they don't grow. You get uniformity and it's net 'n gemors.
Yes, is it? Okay, I'll take my mic. So yeah.
Yeah, just also on the heat of the chickens, they must not compromise for the food or the water, so it must be close by to all the heating, and that's why the temperature in the whole cage must be at the same temperature. So there mustn't be small parts in the cage where there's cold spots, because if the chickens are there, they won't go to the feed and eat. They will just stay under the heat, and then if your food is in the cold places, they won't go and eat, and then they will also use their feed for body temperature.
Thank you. And also, it's not just for cold. If you brood your birds too warm, also that's also a problem. You will step into the house, you will see the birds are just spread over the whole house, but they are too comfortable. They're not eating. You can go for crop scores, you won't see any crop that doesn't have feed, they don't have water, nothing. So make sure the bird's temperature is right. If you're not sure, the birds will show you. If everything fails, look at the birds. Your birds is your, Okay, it's like, to measure temperatures is very important for the first 7 days. There's also just a picture, and if you can remain on the same temperature, that to keep the birds in a thermal neutral zone from the hatchery to the farm, that's also very important. So the temperature on the trucks and the ventilation on the trucks must be right. Okay. There's also just another chick temperature one. Okay, that's where I explained the thermal neutral zone. So above 41, chicks will start panting. They will start panting and also start to move to the sides of us. You will see birds start getting warm, they move to the sides. And also below 39, the birds will start huddling together and birds will start moving towards the brooders. So the bird is very important for the first 7 days to get the right temperature. And then there's also interaction of temperature and humidity. The variation in humidity will influence the effective temperature. High humidity increase the physical temperature and low humidity decrease the physical temperature. If you can go to the next slide. This is just a slide that we in our Ross broiler manual. You can see under 70% the temperature for the birds, you can start with a lower temperature, and when the humidity is lower on 40, you will start with a higher temperature. So that's also very important to see what the humidity is doing at that stage when placing birds. And the other thing is when you're receiving a young flock for your, I say 26, 25, 28, I don't know on what age do you guys normally send out for young flocks? Is it 26, 27 weekers?
Older.
Okay. But if you maybe receive a young flock, always start 1 degree warmer than you normally would start a normal flock. Okay, temperature, relative humidity should be checked a minimum 2 to 3 times a day inside your brooding area. Monitor temperature, relative humidity. Inside, sensors, you must check your sensors as well, see that it's bird level, see that it's calibrated if you have sensors in your houses. The ideal first 7 days, your relative humidity must be around 60%. But it's not always like that. And then minimum ventilation is very, very important. We're on an altitude that a sightage, water belly, I don't know, do you guys get that sometimes? Okay, there's 3 important points that is playing a role for sightage is under ventilation, cold temperatures, and your lighting program that you are using. So you must make sure that 3 things is in place to see that you won't get ascites easily. Okay. Then there is how do birds get rid of heat? It's conduction, convection, and evaporating. I think the one that we see the most in summer times or is the evaporating when birds start panting, they're sitting with their beaks like this. Okay. And then the conduction is heat loss through contact. You will see the birds is doing hollow digging en hulle maak sulke gaatjies in die dinge dis met kontak teen die cooler shavings, then the heat will reduce. Convection is the airspeed around the bird that is playing a role, so your ventilation must be up to standard, otherwise you won't get the boundary layer off around the chick that is so hot. Okay, feed intake makes it possible for chickens to grow and to develop necessary tissues and systems. It is fundamental for chickens to have easy and unrestricted access to feed and water. The growing potential, like I said, is the highest in the first 7 days. Make sure we get that 7-day weights. As I don't know, where are you guys normally running on your 7-day weights at this stage? Are you about 160, 170, 180 grams?
172.
Okay, 172. Okay, that's the norm for now. Therefore, now you must have enough feed available, otherwise development will be delayed and your uniformity won't be good at all. So make sure your feed is available. The birds mustn't move then 1 meter to the sides. There must be feet left, right and center for a start. Okay. Feed and water correlation, there's a 98% between feed and water. If they're not gonna drink, they're not gonna eat. So make sure your water availability is correct. Your water line levels is right. Your water pressures is right. Therefore, you must monitor your daily intake to see that your feed intake is on standard. The increase of water intake will occur like when the bird is getting older. They will start taking more water and more feed. This is just a small graph that is showing most of the time the bird is busy with other behavior. So you can see it's only around 3.1% feeding and drink while they are drinking. So make sure your feed and water is available, because if they miss it, they miss it. Okay? Okay, there's the other question for the last keppie. So, Lydia? Yeah. Okay. What percentage is water of your bird? Say again. 70, and the first one is correct. Good. Sorry, that's the last Captain Spice. Don't have more. Pleasure. Okay, Lydia. Okay, so how much time and effort are you putting into your water? Water quality is so important. By knowing what's going on in your water quality will be better, bird health will improve, mortality rates will be lower, and FCR will enhance. Your disease control will be better, and productions will definitely be more consistent. I have one of my clients, he was struggling with mortality, high. I say high, 10-12%. I was helping him out, visiting him, but still we struggle. Then the one day, this guy he phones me, but he was speaking mooi Afrikaans. I can't repeat it now. Yeah, but he wasn't happy. So I said to him, listen here, this is the one thing. Just check out your water, see that your water tanks is clean, see that your water lines is clean. And he phoned me. He said, this guy is using the chemical, but he's just using one small cup, but he's supposed to use 1 liter per 1,000 liter tank. Okay, so that was the first problem. And then he said, there at the back, at the nipple lines, I hold my cup, I see this brown and green stuff is coming out, the biofilm. I say, yes, so that's the problem, just clean that and see what's happening. So we don't do anything else, the settings is fine, we don't change it. That cycle is stopped at 4.5% mortality just by doing a good check on his water quality. So water is so important. The important to provide fresh quality water is most of the time is underestimated. Water is the most important nutrient used by any animal. So water plays an essential role in the metabolism of the broiler bird. Okay, water is critical for regulation of body temperature and for the digestion of food and waste elimination and the lubrication of organs and joints. Okay, then we come to the nipple lines. If you have nipple lines in brooding time, the nipple lines must be on a height that all birds have easy access on eye level. Check drinker levels daily. Adjust as you go through the chicken houses, make sure it's fine. Drinker lines that is too high, the water consumption you will see, you will restrict the consumption to the birds. So if they're not drinking, they're not going to eat. Also, drinking lines that's too low can result in wet litter, and we don't want the wet litter. Food pads that is burning, breast that is burning. Permanent damage to the biological performance of the bird if you're not looking after or manage your drinkers. Okay, the water intake is just per bird. it differs from farm to farm, but on average, they 0 to 7 is around 20 milliliter per minute. 7 to 21 days, around between 60 and 70 mils per minute. And from 21 days and older, you can go between 70 and 100 mil, more or less, per bird. That's just a suggestion. Drinker space. I don't know, you guys have bell drinkers. They say drinker space 1.5 centimeter per bird. Then around 8 to 12 birds per nipple. And then cups, I don't know who's using cups. 20 to 30 cups of birds per cup. Okay. Okay, then there's the temperatures that is so important. I was visiting a site this week, and they're also not getting good growth for the first 7 days. And we start from one point, and the first thing that I walk in, I just feel the temperature of the water inside the nipple lines. The pressures was fine, but it was like bath water. It was low. It wasn't cold. It wasn't right. So temperatures less than 5 is definitely too cold for your birds, especially when it's getting cold in the winter time for you guys. Temperatures that is too high is 44, too low 5. The ideal temperature must be between 18 and 21 degrees for your birds. Then it's ideal temperature. Okay. Air also play a very essential ventilation. Oxygen is another critical nutrient for all living things. Use minimum ventilation. Even through night, if you can, just keep a small gap in your houses with your curtains, just to ventilate, just to get the excess heat, to remove waste gases, and maintain good relative humidity inside your chicken house. And the other thing that's important, avoid any drafts over your chickens. You don't want any wind drafts over your small birds. And use chick behavior, like I said. If everything fails, use chick behavior. See what your chicks is telling you. Are they grouping? Are they panting? Are they moving to the sides? What are they doing? Carbon dioxide levels, I see it's still 3000 ppm on this presentation, but I see the guys start moving more to 2800 ppm and 2500. These guys that have the grand scarf houses, they're putting it on their batch curves that they're not running more than 2500 ppm at that stage. So minimum ventilation, if you can, if you have controlled environment, let the ventilation run the day before, so the environment is correct for your birds when receiving them from the hatchery. So why do we need ventilation? To control moisture levels, supply oxygen for your birds, remove harmful gases, create air exchange, control litter quality, to control the bird's effective temperature and remove excess heat, and to minimize dust.
Wat ek baie keer vir mense sê, is hulle moet onthou, remember, a chicken is a bird, and a bird flies around the air. He's got a lot of ventilation. So, because people always try to close the cage for heat, and so they're going to suffer more from too little ventilation than they're going to suffer from too little heat.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually also, I don't know, that sometimes the guys think if it's winter they must start with a higher set point. And that's not true. You start in your set point summer, because you have the chicken house, you get your temperature, you want temperature 34, 33, whatever your set point start is. You start and you don't have to go to 35, even if you have an open-sided house with curtains and it's cold, -5, -6, you're not going to reach 35 inside your chicken house. There's no way. So why do you start so high? If it's on 30, you keep it on 30, just keep the drafts and wind from your birds and it will be fine. Okay. Lights. Chicken need bright light to identify and allocated feed and water. Chickens don't know feed, so they learn from each other. So if you put it on the paper, you put it on the scratch trays, birds start pecking it and eating it, they learn from each other, so it's important. So like I said, for light programs, for at least for this 5 to 7 days, keep it on 1 hour sleep for the first 7 days, and then you can start with your long sleep. Light should be evenly spread through your houses. You mustn't have any dark spots, so you must avoid any shadows in your chicken houses. Okay, so the variation between the darkest and the brightest spots mustn't be more than 20%. So the light intensity, if you have between 60 and 80% in brooding, and then start to reduce the light intensity when your bird is after 7 days, when they after your brooding period. Okay, it's just a picture of shadows that it's not correct. You can see there's not much feed on the floor as well, and also the feeder pans that's up in the air, it's not right. Okay, crop filling. Also the client that we were visiting, we were doing crop scoring, we were checking the temperatures for the nipple lines. Okay, so the 4 different types of crop scoring is feed only, water only, and then feed and water, and then empty. So when you're counting, you must count the ones with feed and water. That is important. Okay. So crop scoring is very important for the first 48 hours, but you have to concentrate to achieve good crop scoring in the first 24 hours. It's very important. So if there was something wrong with your fundamentals, your temperature wasn't right, your feed wasn't available, your water temperatures wasn't right, you didn't have water, ventilation wasn't good, then maybe that's preventing the birds from eating. They're not picking up the grams they should. So it's a good practice to do crop scorings, especially during your brooding time. Okay, then we go into the gut. That is very important. Luckily, where's the vet? I don't see her, I'm on my own. But the gut development is very, very important. It's the largest organ in the body. It is one of the major interfaces between the bird's immune system and then environment. So what is gut health? The ability to break down feed into basic particles and then to absorb all the nutrients that you need from the feed and the water. And the ability of the immune system to respond correctly, ability to tolerate normal fluctuations in the gut. This is why I have my fish tanks and mops here. I want to explain it to you so everybody can understand it easily. Okay, why is it important? We are trying to get gut development starting by ensuring feed intake early. And it must be maximized. The birds must start eating, drinking from the start. Chicks that don't eat and drink, they won't grow. So to absorb all the nutrients in your feed as well as in your water, that's very important. It affects the structure of the gut and the ability to absorb. Okay, now I just want to explain to you. The mops that I'm going to use, that will be the villi. The villi is in this is the gut. That's the gut. And this small things inside is the villi, is the fingers. In the gut is the fingers, the villi. Okay? So you guys must see now this buckets, this is the guts. Okay? I have the same amount of water in all 3 buckets. I'm going to take the mops. This one is a long one, so it's still right. This is long villi, okay? Just to explain easily. Then you get the one that is shorter, okay? And then you get the one that is very, very short, okay? This is in the gut. You must imagine yourself. Imagine this is the gut and this is the villi inside. So on 7 days, you're getting birds that getting 130, 140 grams. This is the one with the short villi. Okay. Then you get the one with the 150, 160. It's a little bit longer. And then you get the birds with the gut that is developed good, the one with the long villi. Okay. This is long because all the nutrients, there's enough space for the water and feed nutrients to be picked up at this one, you can see. So this bird will grow well, okay? So you're going to get a 200 gram bird from this one. You can see this one is shorter, okay? Not too many, there's not much space to pick up nutrients and feed, of the feed and water. And this one is the shorter one. This is the one that's the cull at 7 days. You want to take them out, okay? Okay. So this blue water is the feed and the water that the bird is taken in. Okay. Dat ek of my net my bak gee. Okay. All that I'm going to do now, I'm going to put this in for say 10 seconds. Then I'm going to remove it and you will see they're not picking up all the feed and water and all the nutrients. Okay? Okay. You can see this cow didn't do much. Didn't eat, didn't drink. Eh? Next one is supposed to be better.
Yeah, see, you can see he's trying to eat. He's trying to grow, but he's not coming right. Need some gut pro or something.
Okay, so this one, you take a little bit more, but not enough. This is the last one.
Yeah, as you can see, he's really helping the chick to grow there, like a mother.
Okay, guys.
And this all needs to happen when brooding. Then if it's got a good start, then it can go on, carry on with by itself.
Okay guys, if you can see this one with the short villi didn't take up much nutrients, feed and water. There's much left. Taking it in, go straight at the back, straight out. This one is a little bit better, and this one is the best. So your brooding fundamentals must be 100%. Make sure you get your gut development, and the importance of gut development is it's developing for the first 4 to 5 days. It's developing, and then it's going to stay like that for the rest of the cycle in your bird, even if he's growing. So it doesn't matter if your gut development wasn't good at the beginning, you're not going to get good weight, okay? So you must make sure to get that good development. Okay, the gut development begins 24 hours after first ingestion of the food. It's 600% increase, the gut increase 600% until 7 days. And the feed intake stimulate yolk absorption. That's what I said. It's very important. They must get the feed in so they can absorb the yolk. Okay, and this is just pictures of 2-day-old broilers. There you can see the feed was available at the start after 8 hours, and you can see this one, no feed. Okay. Okay, also ammonia is a problem, but that's not, it's because of maybe you're not controlling your litter well, raining season, under ventilation, that's playing a big role. So to keep your ammonia levels at a minimum level through the grow out, ammonia levels over 30 ppm will reduce weight gain, increase feed conversion, decrease the bird uniformity, and make the flock more vulnerable for disease. So the problem is that you won't smell the difference between 20 and 40 ppm, so you have to measure it, otherwise you won't know. Okay. So ammonia, improve litter management, like I said, that's very important to enhance your poultry performance. That's very important. I know during autumn and spring outside temperatures have big fluctuations and make it difficult to ventilate. You don't want to ventilate, it's cold. You don't want to open the chicken houses, but that's where you make the fault. You must ventilate. Increasing litter moisture content, increase ammonia level. So if you increase, your litter is more wet, the ammonia, even when you walk inside, you will smell the ammonia. When they start turning the litter, you will smell it. So making moisture control a vital part and of your daily routine. Heat also play a big role in ammonia. Okay. So the best equipment that we have is our eyes. We can see what's going on in your chicken house. Taste your water, taste your feed. You can feel, handle your birds, pick them up. Your nose to smell, okay? And hearing, if there's something wrong in your chicken house, you must listen. Listen to your birds. What is your birds telling you? Okay? So in summary, must develop an appetite and drinking behavior as soon as the birds is on your farm or on your chicken house. It's essential to maintain constant chick observation. Your chicks will tell you if your conditions is correct inside or not. Okay, feed and water quality in the brooding area, it must be 110%. Crop full test, body weights that you measure 7 days, 14, 21 is important to see if they reach their milestones. And then if you have a vet that can diagnose your mortalities, see what's wrong, get them out so they can help you. Okay guys, thanks a lot. If there's questions, you can ask me. And if I don't know, I will come back to you, or you can mail me. I have sent out my cards.
Johan,
Yes.
I heard you speaking to some people before we started. You said that if they've got problems, you will go out to their farms to help them. So if you struggle too much, you can contact us or Johan. He gave his card. Contact Johan or contact us, and we will give you Johan's contact details.
Yes, please guys, feel free, phone me. You have my number. We have actually a guy for hatcheries and then 2 guys for the parent stocks as well. I bring one of them with me to your site, to your chicken houses. We can see if there's a problem. We can help you out. You have a question there at the back?
I have a question.
Mr. Zhu, I have the question, but it's deeper than what we're talking about. I just want to know, is there any insurance company that can cover the loss of chicks in case of natural disaster and drought?
No, I'm not sure. You have to pay. I think it's very expensive to take out that insurance as well. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it will eat up all your profits.
There won't be much left.
Johan, just a quick one. Understand you said you can come out. Is it part of what Ross offers, or there's a fee that you attach to it?
No, Ross, it's Mahala, it's verniet. I will come and help you and support you as far as I can. You can just give me a ring or mail or anything.
Yeah, that sounds too
It's true, it's true.
Yeah, okay. Now there's someone who wants to start, and he doesn't have the pipes, to take the water there as a beginner, is it advisable for a person to start by putting the water for the chicks?
Yeah, the thing is, you need some, what is it called? Oxygen. You need oxygen in your water. So by bringing the water into baskets, maybe can give you a problem if the baskets isn't clean, especially when they are young chicks. So you must have water that is running. So in nature, water is running, so it's much clearer. So you will see ponds, it's much dirtier. So if you don't have a choice, you must do it like that. But if you can have running water, it will be better. Okay.
Yeah, that's what Johan said, that the mini fountains, the water get finished quickly so that then you can replace it and the water will stay fresh. But you can't put a big 1,000-liter water bucket inside your place.
Yes. Yeah, especially when the guys that have big houses, that have nipple lines, they must flush their lines on a regular basis to keep the temperature right, and it's not staying because the bird is drinking not too much. So you must look after that. But the mini farms, that's going quickly, 1, 2, 3 days. Normally the guys is taking out the mini farms.
Hi Johan, just from my side, I'd like to do training with my labourers. Is it possible that we can get a bit of this material from you?
Yes, definitely.
Gold, worth gold for our labourers.
I think this presentation is very basic, but I think it's what you need to learn your guys on the farm. And you can just mail me, I'll send it, I'll forward this presentation to you, that's fine.
Ons sal dit ook op ons website opsit vir julle en ook op die Facebook. Hy het dit vir ons opgestuur. Dit sal beskikbaar.
My question that I have to you is, what's the correct pH level of your water?
Okay, pH of the chlorine, pH, I think a good balance for water, if you have a chlorine reading of ppm, is 1 to 3 ppm. And ORP, it's a 650, and pH level you can around be 6.5 to 7.5. That's a good water balance. You having 6.5 to 7.5, and then ORP reading of 650, and the chlorine, if you're on the end of your nipple lines, you can get it between 1 to 3 ppm, it will be fine. That's a good balance.
Good morning.
Morning.
Johan, I don't know if you guys have types of genes within your breeding the ross. And then I'll tell you why am I asking this kind of question. I've got customers who need big chickens. By 6 weeks, they must maybe plus minus 2 kg, so to say.
On what age?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah. So, but from my observation is that there are about 3. There are one that are yellow feet, yes. They grow like broad, they are broad,
okay.
so to say.
That's only the rosses that is grown like
this. Yeah, they are broad, but there are others that have what you call a white legs, yes. But they are thin, they grow up, they are not broad.
I wonder if that is rose, I'm not sure.
Even if, that's why I was saying that I need to know if you do have types of what the genes, so to say. Yeah. So, but I do have, there are some serious observations that we have find out in our farms.
Yes.
They are 3.
Okay.
So I needed to
you
know.
must come and see what is going on there in the birds itself.
But our program is the same. Alfa Chicks gave us the same program that we are breeding. But the product is
same feed.
Same feed, everything, preparation of the houses, the lights and all those things.
Like I said, in roses, there's also the genetic. You can have a lighter or a yellower leg, but I don't know why the one will be much bigger than the other one.
Yeah, others are broad.
Yeah, it's just the uniformity from the start. How was that?
Sorry?
The uniformity from the start. When you
It's the
start
same.
breeding your birds.
It's the same. The way we grew them, they are the same.
Okay.
We are following the very same product. I would say the very same program.
Okay.
Mm.
It's difficult to tell that. Sorry, you want to?
Well, I did a little bit of research. So there's Cobb, there's Ross, and then there's Cornish. And the best, you need to cycle through the types actually on your farm to realize which one performs the best in your area. Because your area temperature and those kinds are a big variant in your area. Like for instance, Rainbow likes to use Cobb the most because it fits their agenda, their weights that they want. So I agree with you, but I've been farming with Ross now for a while and I've cycled through all of them. If you want a big chicken in a short cycle, Ross is the best. But if you want in a longer time, Cornish. So if you want to push 8 weeks on your chickens, you'll have a 5 kilogram chicken when you do Cornish. But then I promise you, your feed intake is going to be out of the roof.
Sorry, I just want to answer your question as well. So, one must understand that you can't change the genetics of a chicken, and you must create the perfect environment for them to grow in. If you have a dirty environment, then your chicken will use its energy to not grow. So it will actually use its energy to fight the bacteria and stuff that is in the environment. So we at Kitov, we focus at controlling the environment. If you give the chicken the perfect environment to grow with, it will grow to their genetic potential.
Ek wil net weet wat as ons nou die kykens aankoop en ons kry die kykens die eerste dag, wat prosesse word daar gedoen voor die tyd om seker te maak dat daai kykens 100% reg is van ons kant af, dat ons weet dat ons kry die A+ produk en nie 'n B+ produk nie.
Dit is moeilik om vir myself te sê wat uitgaan na die braaikykking kant toe. Ons voorsien ons nou maar die parent stocks, maar ek dink Alfa, hoe kry julle of hoe maak julle by julle kant om seker te maak op by wie vir ons net antwoord daar.
Okay, so we don't weigh each chick individually anymore, so we can't guarantee an average weight of 40 grams per box of chicks. But we do strive to ensure that all the chicks of each individual comes from one flock of parent stock that are between 45 and 50 weeks of age, which produce the best and strongest chickens that grow best and are least susceptible to disease, no matter what their weight on day one.
We had Ross just, maybe like I said earlier, we're taking the parent stocks to Goldie, Festive, and Eagle's Pride, and yeah, so we just placing parent stocks, not broiler birds. I'm just going out to the farms because I'm part of Ross, so we need to have a look how the broilers also is doing. Okay, but we're yeah.
Hi, good day, John speaking. What we experienced is the same as that lady. We found some chicks with white feet. They don't perform the same as the rest. Same house, same temperature, same feet. They don't perform the same. Other thing that I want to ask Ross, the chicks, what I do is, if I receive 20 boxes, I take one box randomly. Weigh each and every one of them. Sometimes 8, sometimes 12, of them are not 40 grams. Those chicks, they cannot compete with the others when it comes to after 7 days, 14 days. They cannot, when I must lift the feeders, they cannot reach them. I've got a problem with that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think definitely the where you're receiving your chicks, maybe just must have a look at grading. Make sure there's a good average in the box of the chickens that you receive. Yeah, that's all what I can say from my side for now.
Okay, what I can say is that our chicks, we grade them double. From the hatchery they came here and then we check them, and we will remove everything that is not on standard. And because it's a live animal, you can't see at one day how that animal is going to perform. And that is why we always taught our clients, just check 10%, work on 10% of chicks that is not going to perform that well. Because you can't see on one day old what that chicken is going to do. It's just looking the same as the other ones. And just remember, always, if you do less than 10%, then you've done well with your batch. So I can assure you that we are in this business for 35, maybe more years, 40 years, and always you won't get 100%. If you've done 90%, then you've done good with your batch.
I think also another thing is age flock, the age of the flocks. Maybe there's a mixed flock. It also plays a role. So the age grading is very important.
The thing is time as well, because it's alive. The more time that it's alive, it's from hatching, then the weight will reduce because of to use its energy and its egg yolk and everything. So then it's going to reduce the weight. The chickens are graded when they are hatched. If you maybe check your weight of your chickens 8-10 hours after that you hatched, then the weight will fluctuate a lot.
We just have a question here.
Thank you. The issue that I want to raise is we need to accept that there is too many variables that we have which can affect chicken growth. But there was a particular batch which we lodged a complaint with Alfa, whereby more than 75% of our beds did not grow properly. And of course they took it back up with Ross, but unfortunately we haven't had any feedback as to why so many beds couldn't grow in that floor.
The one thing that we must remember, always must remember, is there's a feed problem as well. If you guys are going to use the cheapest feed on the market and always budget on feed, then the chickens can't grow. And feed is fluctuated as well, because that is also some different types of soya and whatever mealies and stuff that they are using new batches, and those batches are not always on standard. And you can say we always use the same feed. That feed is not always the same, because they need to put that same together as well. So feed can always play a part in the process of growing the chicks.
Mr. Ndova, again, I just want to ask, I've got another question. I just want to take you back when it comes to preparation of the house. So normally when we buy the chicks, we normally buy the so-called sawdust. So one of the farmers told me that some of the sawdust are so harmful to the chicks. So I just want to know whether it's the true story. If it's true, which ones are bad, which ones are good?
I think the pine shaving is the best. You must just make sure the shavings you receive is dry, because the birds can get aspergillus from the shavings. There's bacteria in the shaving, so that can cause problems. So make sure you get the right quality shaving for your birds. And if they say there's a problem with open navels or something with a bird, then you will just have more and more problems.
The other thing is shavings, the pine should be untreated, because you get a lot of guys who shave the wood after it's been furnished and varnished and what is it, wax all. Then they shave the woods and that stuff. The chemicals in that stuff, it is going to harm your chickens as well. So you must make sure it's clean pine shavings, untreated wood.
That's why it's important to fumigate your shavings as well. To spray it with a chemical or whatever you guys need. It's that formalin, what do you call it? They burn it in the pans and they disinfect the shavings as well. Yes, it mustn't be too fine as well, then it's too dusty.
Okay, Johan, baie dankie.
Dankie julle en asseblief voel vry, bel my, e-mail my. My kollegas kan julle ook kom help. Baie dankie.
Baie dankie vir Johan van Ross, South Africa. Geef vir hom 'n lekker handeklapie hier. Ek is seker almal weet nou wat is 'n chicken of 'n chick. Toe ek hier aangekom het, ek gedink ek is 'n chicken. Die dokter Marilette is 'n chicken. Nou hoor ek nie, dit is nie eintlik waaroor die gesprek gaan nie. Ons stel bekend Dr. Marilette. Sorry, I must speak English. Okay. She is a poultry vet from Endura. Okay, give a hand of applause.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see that so many people are up to learning about chickens on a Saturday morning. Goeiemorgen, ek is ook van die Kaap. Maar ek is 'n inkomer. I grew up in Vereniging and I studied in Pretoria. If you see me shivering, it's because I'm cold, it's not because I'm nervous. It's very nice to be here. Today I'm going to briefly talk to you about biosecurity and vaccination. These are two very broad topics. We can spend a whole day on each of them. So, like I said, it's a brief presentation, but please feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions or ask me afterwards. Or you're also welcome to contact me anytime. I will also leave my contact details with you. So, as mentioned, I'm a poultry veterinarian. I qualified in 2012. After that, I joined a poultry consultancy called Agri. Perhaps some of you have known about or have heard about them. And then in 2017, I joined a company called Gorenga Ingelheim, which is a very difficult name to pronounce. It's a German company. So I am here on behalf of Endura. I don't work directly for Endura. They asked us to send someone to do a talk today. We do sell many of our products through them, but not exclusively. We sell through most distributors across South Africa. We're a vaccine company, so that's what we're selling. Poultry vaccines. We also sell for other species, but me and my team that's here with me today, that's the poultry team. There's a couple of more veterinarians, so don't only look at me when you ask the difficult questions later. Yeah, so that's the team. All of us are here today. There's a couple of more members that couldn't join. That's our office, our administrative office, so that's in Midrand. Then we have our warehouse in the south of Joburg. Yeah, and we operate across the country. And like I mentioned, we sell poultry vaccines, many different vaccines. You can have a look there at the table if you're interested to learn more about that. So my agenda for today, I'm going to talk a bit about biosecurity. What is it? Why is it important? And what can you do to improve the biosecurity on your farm? Then we'll quickly look at vaccination, so the different types of vaccination that you get. Why do we vaccinate? The correct handling of vaccines, because that's important to do it correctly. And then the different application methods. And afterwards, I will just have one or two slides on poultry diseases, of which there are many, unfortunately. So I want to start with this slide, which says disease control. It's important to note that it says disease control. It doesn't say disease elimination or avoidance of disease. Unfortunately, there will always be a risk of disease, and it sits with us, the responsibility and the power to try and control it the best we can, and to minimize the risk of getting disease on your farm. So you'll see there's three pillars. Management, which is what Johan spoke about, so I'm not going to speak about that. It's how you raise your chickens, what the environment is like, do you look after them properly. That plays an important role in disease control also, because as mentioned, when your bird is not happy, when it's hungry, when it's cold, when it's not ventilated properly, the immune function decreases. It's the same like with COVID, where they said that the immune-compromised people will be more challenged when they get infected. It's the same with chickens. If they're not happy because of poor environmental conditions, their immune function decreases and they're more susceptible to become infected with disease. And then I'm going to talk about the other two pillars, which is biosecurity and vaccination. Also put there medication. Talk about a bit later about the difference between the two. And then I put the picture there of the little stool. If anyone, something happened. If any of those, any one of those pillars are missing, that chair or that stool will be useless. So it's important to focus on all three to get a strong stance against disease control. So let's start with biosecurity. What is it? So if you break the word down, bio means or comes from the word biological, which means living organisms, so all sorts of living organisms. And then security is obviously protection from any sort of harm. So in other words, biosecurity is a set of programs and procedures that will prevent or limit the build-up and spread of harmful microorganisms and pests in and between your poultry houses, poultry farms and poultry production areas. So that's a very long way of saying it. I'd just like to put it as biosecurity is creating a biological barrier. So now we're going to look at why. Why do we need to create, or why do we want to create a biological barrier? So first we need to look at what causes disease. So most of the diseases that we're concerned about in chickens is caused by microorganisms. Viruses, bacteria, fungi. So there are diseases that are not caused by microorganisms. If you think, for instance, let's take humans, like cancers, diabetes, those sort of things. But they affect an individual and they can't spread. And obviously that's a totally different topic to discuss when it comes to the treatment of those diseases. So when it comes to biosecurity, we look at the diseases that are caused by microorganisms, which are also the ones that can, in 99% of cases, cause the most harm, because they are, more often than not, they are contagious. So if one chicken gets it, it spreads to the rest of your flock or your farm. So if we look at the different microorganisms, so that bacteria, they come in all different shapes and sizes. I like this picture. So they put the tip of a needle under a microscope, and that's what they got. I hope the pictures are clear. So that's the tip of a needle, and all those little yellow things you see there are a certain type of bacteria. So that's how small they are. There we have some fungi, like what you get in your bread if you forget it in the cupboard. The aspergillosis that was spoken about earlier in the shavings is caused by a fungi, similar to this. Then you get viruses. They are even much smaller, like you'll see on the next picture. On the tip of that needle, there's a red blood cell. So that's the size of a red blood cell in relation to the tip of a needle. And then in that picture, you have the size of a bacteria in relation to that red blood cell. And then if you go to the bottom corner there, you'll see the size of different sort of viruses compared to bacteria. So these are really, really small organisms. We can't see them with the naked eye. So that makes it really, really hard to keep them out. How do we do this? Luckily, the most common way for these organisms to come onto your farm and to infect your chicken is by what we call a carrier or a host, which you see in this slide. So any living organism, or even, like you'll see on the next slide, environmental things that come onto your farm can bring in these microorganisms. They can either just carry them on their skin or on their feet, or they can themselves be infected and shed this bacteria or this organism on your farm. So this is an easier a visible thing that you can see to keep out, to minimize the introduction of microorganisms onto your farm. So you'll see there's obviously other chickens. It's not a good idea to introduce chickens from other places onto your farm. Dogs, cats, or pets, other farm animals like horses, cows, goats. It's not a good idea to have them roam in between your chicken houses. Then more difficult to control is your wild animals or pests. So wild birds, flies, rats or rodents. These are all things, and then also humans, which is actually the most important one. Kids or visitors to your farm, they can all bring unwanted organisms with them. And then on this slide, like I mentioned, just the environment. So tires of cars that come onto your property or onto your farm, tools or equipment that you use on your farm, they can have microorganisms on them. Standing water, like puddles, after the rain or after you've cleaned something. That's a very nice brooding place for all sorts of nasty microorganisms. Having manure or feathers or something, clean out from a previous cycle. If you just pile up the manure or clean out the feathers and don't get rid of it, that's a very nice place to harbor microorganisms from the previous cycle. If you have tall grass, if you have like scrap metal, any sorts of places where rodents or snakes or wild birds can make nests, like large trees, for instance. All these sorts of things are important things that you must note on your farm or in between your chicken houses, where these kind of hosts or carriers can live. So in essence, you want to create this biological barrier to try and keep out all these things that we've mentioned. As far as possible, you want to make sure that there's no pests, no animals, no unnecessary humans, no unnecessary vehicles, and no chickens from other sources that come onto or into your poultry houses. And also it's important to remember that things like water, feed that you bring into your farm, which is necessary, that can also carry microorganisms. So it's important to make sure that these come from a reputable source. So, why is biosecurity an important thing? It's a large number of animals in a close proximity.
So as Marilette said, our biggest aim on any farm is to protect chickens from factors that influence their growth, performance and survival. The financial impact will obviously be on the farmer, and that's you, if you don't look after your own farms. And then protection of all staff and persons in contact with poultry from contracting and carrying disease organisms. The best way to do that is to limit the amount of people that you have on your farm. And the best other way to do that is to not let them wear Crocs as well. Crocs are from the devil, they're the most awful thing. And you can only imagine how much bacteria is on the bottom of a Croc, and then your dignity leaks out the holes in the top. And please remember, a lot of diseases that we contract, 75% of all animal diseases in the world come from animals, and they are contractable by humans. So what can you do to improve biosecurity on your farm? So the most important thing is keep the carriers of disease out. Number 1 is vehicles, number 2 is people, number 3 is wild birds. Make sure that the fences around your property are able to keep all these animals out. Even rats, mice, everything's important. Have lockable gates that people that you don't want onto your farm cannot come onto your farm. And then make sure that all your feeding systems are clean so that wild birds do not get attracted to your farm. Wild birds and rats, very important. Even feral pigs is important not to get onto your farm. Clean up feed spillage. Make sure your chicken cages and houses are clean. Make sure you have pest control systems all around, especially for rats and flies. Make sure that you have adequate drainage systems to relieve any standing water, because standing water attracts wild birds, especially water birds, and those water birds carry influenza or bird flu. And if you want to quickly close your chicken farm, then I suggest getting bird flu. Okay, so this is the first time I'm seeing this presentation, so please bear with me. And obviously grounds must be kept clean, make sure that there's litter and stuff is removed from the farm, all areas that can attract rats, that's very important. Keep your grass short. We like to have cats around because cats really control rats really well, but make sure you then control the cat population also. You don't want to sit with a cat farm having some chickens. Then also make sure you remove the mortalities, very important, don't leave the mortalities lying around. Pick up any old litter. Especially bedding, wet bedding. Remove everything from the farm. Dump it at a neighbor that you don't really like.
And make sure you've got disinfectant food baths at the entrance of your chicken house. Not most, but a lot of diseases get stuck to your feet, and you don't want to bring the diseases into your chicken house with your shoes.
Right, then obviously the ways to do that, you've already mentioned foot baths, extremely important. Have protective, we're all aware of PPE lately with the whole COVID pandemic. So personal protective equipment, make sure it's clean, make sure it's dedicated to a particular chicken house or a particular person. We can't keep everything out, but the most important thing is to limit what we can keep out or keep in. A good idea is always a shower also. When I used to work in Zimbabwe, we used to shower in and out of every chicken house. I was showering up to 24 times a day. It's definitely the cleanest I've ever been. Then very important, hand washing and disinfection. You carry a lot of germs on your hands too. We're all aware of hand sanitizer. It's good to have hand sanitizer in every house and encourage people to use that. It doesn't help just having a foot bath and a hand sanitizer. Make sure that your staff know that they need to use those. Then boots, very important. Gumboot, as I said, just stay away from Crocs altogether. Gumboots are important. Remember that gumboots must be cleaned. Gumboots have really thick tread and can catch a lot of dirt and nonsense on the bottom of the gumboot. Make sure that those gumboots are cleaned correctly too. Then obviously foot baths has been mentioned, very important. If you really want to go all out, do a vehicle wash too. Any vehicle coming in or out of the farm gets sprayed with disinfectant. Then also very important, whenever you're working on a chicken farm or invite any visitors, start with the youngest birds first. Move to the oldest birds. So start from youngest, move to oldest to prevent disease transmission to your youngest birds. Okay, then very important, all farm equipment must be sterilized regularly. A simple way is just to pressure cook all your small tools, unless you have a very big pressure cooker. Okay, and then feeder pans, water troughs must be cleaned regularly too, and disinfected. Right, then humans as carriers of microorganisms. As you can see there, this was, I'm sure you're all aware of this after COVID, but how hair can carry microorganisms up to 21 days, fingernails for up to 2 weeks, nostrils, eyes and mouth 21 days, and some disease-causing organisms can be carried by humans internally. That was one of the ways that they thought bird flu was spreading through Natal, was through people that were having contact with bird flu and moving on to other farms. Be careful also of salmonella. Again, from COVID, you can see how far droplets actually travel, and that's why we all wear masks. Even though we hate them, you can see why they're important. Then your hands are a germ farm. Make sure that your staff sanitize their hands regularly when walking through houses and working with your chickens. That was from, I think it was probably about 3 hours of growth from that person's hand. You can see all the bacteria growing on this plate. So be extremely careful. There you can see the difference between before washing your hands and after washing your hands, the difference that you make in spreading germs. Then very important, Uncle Cyril showed us very carefully how to wash our hands properly. Please make sure that we do that, and you encourage your staff to do that. Have SOPs, and if staff don't adhere, then you can ask them to find a new place to work. It's very important because it is their livelihood and your livelihood. It's just some more finger washing technique. Then cleaning and disinfection of the chicken house cannot be underestimated. Along with that comes with how long you leave that chicken house open between placing new birds in the chicken house, what we call downtime. And we suggest the most important downtime is at least 14 days between placing new chicks in a house. Anything less than that and you're asking for trouble in the future with bacterial buildup. So please make sure after you've disinfected your chicken houses, you leave them open for long enough to free of any biological material, and that includes people. Right, then I think this is a summary one. Biosecurity is a critical aspect of sustainable and profitable poultry production. Without good biosecurity, you might as well close your chicken farm. And it is the best insurance policy against disease outbreak, is to make sure that you adhere to strict biosecurity principles. Right, then, can anyone tell me what is vaccination without reading the slide? No one? Does anyone buy insurance for their vehicles? Why do you pay someone 5,000 Rand or 2,000 Rand a month to look after a vehicle that's parked in your driveway anyway? It's for the day that someone decides they want your vehicle more than you do. And for that, we pay insurance, and it's exactly the same on a chicken farm. We use vaccinations as an insurance policy. Because disease can be devastating on any poultry farm, especially the respiratory diseases. But vaccination does not replace biosecurity. Biosecurity is still the most important aspect. Vaccination will play a secondary role. Then we have different types of vaccines. What we call live vaccines is what we can apply through drinking water or a spray onto the chicks, mostly at the hatchery. It causes a rapid immune response, meaning the birds build up protection very quickly against that vaccination. but that immune response is very short-lived. So you have to keep applying the vaccine to make it relevant. Then we have killed vaccines, which is mainly in long-lived birds, so broiler breeders and rearing layer birds. There's a slow response, but you have a response for much longer. And then we have new technology, which is the vector vaccines or immune complexes, and that's when you have to individually inject each bird. It is much safer and more reliable, and you get much better protection. It's a bit of a pain in the arse to go and vaccinate every bird by injection, but it certainly protects your birds the best. So, live vaccines. We've all had live vaccines for COVID. I hope everyone's had a vaccine for COVID, at least one. For those who worry if you're going to grow antenna or be able to pick up 5G through your bum or whatever, it is not the case. Vaccines are safe. They are safe to use. We wouldn't have ever given vaccines to however many million broiler chickens. Each broiler chicken in the world gets probably about 6 or 7 vaccines. So please don't worry about getting the COVID vaccine, you are quite safe. So again, vaccines are not medicines, they are not antibiotics. It is a living organism that is injected into the chicken. So again, the only reason we give vaccines to chickens is to stimulate their immune system to produce antibodies against that specific disease. So when a chicken is challenged with a disease, it has built up protection against the worst effects of those diseases. You've probably heard of people still getting positive for COVID after their vaccine, but that they don't get hospitalized or they don't die, they don't get sick. That's because they've been protected with the vaccine. So very importantly, these live vaccines do not cause disease. The whole point is that they protect against the disease. Because they have been modified slightly or changed, they are very similar to the actual disease, but they do not cause disease. They mimic the natural infection so that the same defense mechanisms as for the real pathogen are operational and control the infection quickly. So basically the vaccines prevent any clinical signs, especially for Newcastle and infectious bronchitis. For those who don't know, infectious bronchitis is a coronavirus, so chickens also get corona, and we've been vaccinating chickens against coronavirus for almost 40 years. And we've no idea why the world didn't ask the poultry department to vaccinate humans against corona. Okay, so as soon as a disease floats through your farm, your birds have protection against that specific disease. Very importantly, if you're given a vaccine and it's a respiratory disease vaccine, it doesn't help putting it through drinking water. The same with if a bird needs to be, or an internal or a gastrointestinal vaccine, it doesn't help spraying it into the bird. So if any of you are vaccinating infectious bronchitis or Newcastle, it doesn't help putting it through drinking water. It's not the best way to vaccinate your bird. So, very importantly, to keep the virus alive, it must be the correct temperature at all times. Make sure that nothing comes into contact with the vaccine that can harm the virus, and used within 2 hours of mixing. So very importantly, temperature can denature vaccines. And that's why water temperature is extremely important. Also, you can't use chlorinated water to vaccinate because the chlorine kills the vaccine. The first part there we call the cold chain, so we normally keep vaccines at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. And that's extremely important because any more than that and you actually kill the virus. So it's important to keep your viruses in a fridge and then to administer them in a cold environment. Never ever freeze the vaccine. Some vaccines are frozen and they come that way, but normal vaccines should never be frozen. And the water temperature that you're administering onto the birds should be no more than 20 degrees Celsius, ever. A very simple way of using knapsack sprayers is to take those gel cooler bags, fold them or roll them into a little ball so that and freeze them, because then they fit nicely into that knapsack sprayer so you can cool your water down. Then make sure you have no harmful substances especially in the water that you're mixing. So for mixing water, we normally use distilled water because it's free of any pathogens. Make sure there's no heavy metals, disinfectants, chlorine, antibiotics, keep away from sunlight, no organic matter. Please don't go and use the buckets that you just used to wash all the vehicles with. Then also make sure that your drinking lines and water sources are flushed correctly and properly, and use a chlorine stabilizer in the water. And always use the vaccine within 2 hours. We've been on several farms where they mix the vaccine and then go on lunch. And by the time they come back, that vaccine is completely dead. And they spray all the vaccine onto their birds. They think their birds are protected, but actually they have no protection at all. Then there are several ways to administer, but those must be used correctly. So obviously you can use drinking water, a spray, which we say there is preferred route for respiratory vaccines, mostly Newcastle and infectious bronchitis. Very importantly, when using a spray, take note of the temperature, humidity and ventilation. Eye drop is a good way to administer vaccines, but again you have to pick up each individual bird, which is not easy when you have 4 million broilers. We do use injections in the hatchery, which IM is intramuscular or SC is subcutaneous, so under the skin. We use a wing web stab, so what we try and do is, for any virus or any vaccine, we try and mimic the natural way that would get into a bird. So if you're vaccinating for fowl pox is distributed by mosquitoes, so we actually stab the vaccine into the bird, much like it would receive the virus from a mosquito. So try and keep it as natural as possible. And the latest technology is that we actually vaccinate the birds in the egg before they've even hatched. So we're now starting to put the vaccine into the egg that you don't have to do anything to that chick once it's born. So vaccination is a powerful and effective tool in prevention of disease and optimizing bird performance. So then poultry diseases caused by microorganisms, and the very important ones will be highlighted in red. Newcastle disease is probably our most devastating naturally occurring disease apart from avian influenza. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but the most important ones for me on a broiler side would be Newcastle, infectious bronchitis, and IBD or Gumboro disease. Those are the three most important in a broiler system. In layers, Marek's disease is very important, TRT very important. The other ones, fowl pox is very important in layers, and infectious coryza. There's a lovely word they called egg drop syndrome that was specifically designed by vets, that if you go into a farm and you have no idea why the guy's not producing eggs, you just say you have egg drop syndrome. It covers us nicely. So there's just some typical signs of Newcastle disease. You'll have birds throwing their heads back, so basically what we call basic neurological symptoms. Please don't confuse that. Sometimes when you inject birds incorrectly, their neck can also be damaged. So don't suddenly think you've got Newcastle disease and worry. Newcastle has many clinical signs, especially in layers. You'll see that they produce white eggs. We generally don't produce white eggs in South Africa, so make sure that if you see white and misshaped eggs in your layers, you know that there might be Newcastle. There's also green diarrhea that's very familiar with Newcastle disease. A very important clinical sign of Newcastle disease is exactly that. You'll have very high mortality. Now, just be careful of that. It's not the most fun thing. It is transmissible to humans. It can cause conjunctivitis. Or maybe that guy just had too many brandies the night before. A very important technique that we like to teach on farms is to conduct your own post-mortems. It can tell you a lot of what's happening on your farm, it can tell you a lot of what's happened on your farm, and it can tell you a lot of what's potentially going to happen on your farm. So I encourage you, do your own post-mortems. Get vets to come and do post-mortems for you. Send in samples. It's a very simple, it's for free, the bird is already dead. Do the post-mortem, send in samples. Again, it gives you a much better idea of what's happening on your farm. So those are typical symptoms for Newcastle. There will be hemorrhaging almost everywhere in the bird. It can look similar to avian influenza, but with avian influenza you'll lose all your birds almost overnight. Then infectious bronchitis, which is coronavirus. We cannot catch the coronavirus from chickens, and we cannot give coronavirus to chickens. So please don't worry, you don't have to wear a mask in your chicken house or put a mask on every one of your chickens. We cannot catch corona from them. The typical is a swollen head, and when you conduct post-mortems, you'll see what we call secondary E. coli infection. It's almost like a very cheesy appearance inside a bird once you open it up for infectious bronchitis. Also in layers, white and misshaped eggs for infectious bronchitis. Sometimes you don't see many lesions. You might see like little plugs in the trachea, little slime plugs, because it's a respiratory disease. The biggest effect is that you'll see on higher mortality and lower production. Then Gumboro disease or infectious bursal disease. So chickens have a special organ called a bursa, and the bursa sits right at the end of the cloaca. And if that bursa is affected in any way, it decreases the immunity of the bird. So the bursa is responsible for producing B lymphocytes, which protects the bird and creates the immune system for chickens. So if anything affects the bursa, then it affects the immune system of the chicken. So very important to control IBD, Gumboro. Very, very important to control. And you'll normally see after day 28, your birds suddenly go off their feet, they have ruffled feathers, it starts looking like a crow, like a really hooked beak. They don't put on any weight, and the broiler that doesn't put on any weight is basically useless. Right, then you can see on the picture on my left, the very far, it will be on your left, is an intact bursa, and as it gets smaller and more hemorrhagic, that's when the birds have Gumboro disease, and then they can't fight off any other disease. So you'll see major production issues with Gumboro disease. Again, the only way you'll know that is if you conduct post-mortems. A lot of those you'll see secondary bacterial infections, and that's what I was talking about, that like almost like scrambled egg appearance inside a chicken when you cut it open. Make sure you don't see that. Unfortunately, secondary bacterial infection can occur from anything. It can occur from poor ventilation, poor water quality, poor bedding quality. Make sure that you take the correct samples and notify someone if you see any of these issues. Then foulpox, we talked about, that's the one that is transmitted by mosquitoes. And when we vaccinate, we literally almost stab the bird, what we call a wing web stab. We stab the bird to mimic a natural infection. The biggest problem with this is that the birds sometimes can't see or move to feed, and so they will start losing production, because the first thing they stop doing is that broilers will stop growing, layers will stop producing eggs, because they will not see feed. And the first thing that goes when they do that is reproduction. So you'll see a massive drop in egg production when you have foulpox. So I've highlighted that before, but very important vaccines for broilers or braaikykens is Newcastle disease and infectious bronchitis, which we generally do in the hatchery at day 0. We can now do Gumboro disease also at day 0 in the hatchery. Then on farm, normally between day 10 and 14, we say do another live spray for Newcastle and infectious bronchitis. And then normally just after day 20, you do another Newcastle disease spray. That is because Newcastle is a very important disease in South Africa, so you want to provide as much protection as possible. Right, thank you for your attention. Are there any questions? We do have a stand over here about all our vaccines. Boring is one of the largest vaccine producing companies in the world. We have 50,000, 60,000 employees in 170 countries. So please come and speak to us. We've got a lot of poultry experience and a lot of poultry knowledge. I see your hand there, sir.
The Gumboro disease is actually more towards Alfa. Are they they vaccinating or receiving birds that are chicks that are vaccinated? Because this area has become a bit of a hot spot for it at the moment, and I think most of us that have got birds are suffering from a massive outbreak of Gambora overall.
I'll let Alfa Chicks answer that one.
What I was asking is whether Alpha receives birds that are vaccinated for Gambora or whether they are vaccinating already. There's a massive outbreak in this area, the north of Pretoria area, with Gambora at this stage. And I think a lot of us have suffered from that at this point.
Yes, in the first place, the pigeon stock, they are getting vaccinated, so they already have some immunity in the egg. And then we do vaccinate on day 1, always. And then there is another facility available if you want to spend a bit of more money on your chicks, so we can do that by hand as well, into the neck, that injection as well, the people that prefer that. Okay.
So my suggestion was basically what we do is Gambora has a few ways that the vaccine can be administered. The problem is that if you give Gambora in drinking water on your farm, you never know the right day on administering that vaccine. Because each chick gets maternal antibodies, so they get some form of protection from the mother. With Gambora, if you give the vaccine too early, then the maternal antibodies kill your vaccine. Because the protection you get from your mother immediately thinks there's an invasion, so it kills the vaccine. That's if you do it too early, and that's through drinking water. The latest technology is what we call a vector, so it's injected into the birds at day 0, and that protects the bird completely throughout its life cycle in the broiler chicken. And that's a vaccine we call Vaccitech. That will protect that bird all the way through. There's a different form, which is then called an immune complex. And the immune complex vaccines are injected in the hatchery, but they do affect the bird's bursa. And for me as a veterinarian, I would like to keep that bursa intact as far as possible, because it keeps your immunity high for every other disease. So an immune complex vaccine, it's good technology and it provides protection, but it does harm the bursa of the bird. Whereas Vaccitech, which is a vectored vaccine, does not harm the bursa, so that that bird's immune system is completely intact. And we are... Sorry, carry on.
Excuse me. We don't do Gambora on day 1, only Newcastle. Gambora, we don't do that. Only if they ask, then we can do the injection in the neck, the vaccination in the neck. But normally we don't, we just do Newcastle. Ons beveel nie aan dat Gambora van dag 1 af gegee word as daar nie probleme in 'n area is nie, want die oomblik wanneer jy Gambora doen, is jou plaas besmet met Gambora. So as jy in 'n area is waar jy nie 'n probleem daarmee het nie, moenie die virus op jou plaas bring nie. Maar dan natuurlijk is dit een van die gevalle waar voels dra dit baie maklik aan na plase toe ook. Ja, so, maar ons doen Newcastle op dag 1.
To answer your question quickly, if you want to protect Gambora, do a live vaccine from between day 14 and 16 on your farm if you want to protect. And there's a few samples that you can just do through drinking water. That's if you're faced with a problem in an area. So between day 14 and 16, the maternal antibodies should be low enough that they don't affect your vaccine application.
Thank you very much. At my farm there is a problem that I have, but I don't know if I should call it a problem or beneficial, because I do need a big chickens. I do have some of the chickens, you see they lose what is called feathers, and then they tend to have this thick feathers underneath. I don't know how to put them. I don't know if it could be the problem of Hamboro or what. They do have these strong feathers, and then they shed off. You said
Are they plucking out their own feathers, or are they losing the feathers? Because that's important.
They are losing feathers, but they don't stop eating. They grow.
And are you using a reputable feed company? What feed are you using?
Nido.
Okay, because normally when birds pull out their own feathers or lose feathers, it's because they're not receiving enough salt in their diet. So there could be a salt deficiency on your farm that the birds pull out the feathers or lose feathers.
My water do have, they are very salty. Water is very salty.
Yeah, unfortunately it's impossible for me. There's so many things that could be the problem. I would need to physically see the bird before we could make a proper diagnosis, unfortunately. I wouldn't be able to give you an answer immediately, but generally if birds lose feathers, it's because they don't have enough salt in their diet.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rebecca from Kudisho Hatchery, a small emerging hatchery in Bupo. I just want clarity on the day-old vaccination. I hear they say they are doing only the ND, and then I just wanted to find out, would it be advisable to do the IB and ND on day one? And if not, or if yes, what are the advantages? If not, if one is doing it, what is the risk? 2, she's mentioning the high salt content in the water, which is the most problem that we are experiencing in Limpopo, because most of us are using borehole water and it's very salty. And you mentioned in the presentation that some of the causes of diseases may be occurring from the water. Then how do we prevent or try and eliminate? How do we treat the water, basically? That is what I'm trying to ask.
Okay, thank you. So, again, your vaccines is an insurance policy. So it's up to you how much money you want to pay to protect your vehicle. Do you want to go through Discovery, or do you want to go through the guy on the corner, that's charging you 400 Rand, but he can never find your vehicle again or whatever? So for me, as a poultry vet, I would always suggest vaccinating IB at day one. So Newcastle and IB and Gambora from day one. Because that's when your bird gets the most protection. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but I'd much rather have a 2 kilogram chicken at 32 days that I can sell into a client with 2% mortality.
So can you mix all three?
No, you can mix Newcastle and IB. In fact, Gambora is a different vaccine. On the front, Mokwadi can go.
I just want to add that Newcastle is a controlled disease, and that what means is you are legally obligated by the South African government to vaccinate. Because what happens is once you have an outbreak of Newcastle with your 500 chickens or 5 million birds, it impacts the whole industry. So now we can't export birds to our trade partners because you break with Newcastle disease. It's very easy to give, you just give it in a spray vaccination. And why not include IB if it's just 2 cents or 3 cents extra for an insurance policy that will last you a very long time.
And then to answer the second part of your question, the most important thing to do is always take your water for testing and quality testing. That's the most important thing you can do, and then you find water experts after that that can tell you exactly how to control high salt content. The most important thing we do, especially for bacteria in water, is to chlorinate the water. But again, then be careful when you're vaccinating, you must dechlorinate the water while you're vaccinating. But there are experts that can help solve. The only way you'll know that is by taking your water for adequate water sampling first. And don't rely on municipal certificates to say your water quality is fine. It's like trusting Eskom with electricity. Don't trust anyone that says they're from the government.
Thanks, Jeff. Just a quick one. As a vet, I'm working in my chicken shed, there's two instances where I find the mortality. You'll find that maybe firstly the chicken is either dead lying down or dead facing up. What is the immediate thing that comes out from a vet perspective?
So again, unfortunately, that's very difficult to answer because that's just judging by how your chickens have died. But generally, chickens that are facing up have had a heart attack, what we call a flip over. So they're basically running around and they go, and then they flip over onto their back. The best way, again, post-mortems. Cut your birds open. See it's very important, first of all, to know what's normal. So if you have mortalities, cut birds open, see what's normal, see what's not normal. That's the most important thing. But birds lying on their back is generally a heart attack. I'm saying generally because it could be anything. Birds that are not eating, they might be the smaller birds, what we call non-starters or runts. They're not able to get to water, they're being bullied at all the feeding pans. So they just don't have the energy to move. Because they're not feeding correctly, they're not drinking correctly, they're not getting enough oxygen. So it's very important to, as you walk through your houses, we always do it at day 10, cull everything that's small. We know it sounds stupid, in your head you think, I'm culling chickens, it's dumb. But you're feeding that chicken for the next 20 days of its life, when it gets really expensive. So we always say, if you want a chicken to die, let it die within the first 7 days. And that's why I'm a big proponent of never giving a chicken an antibiotic. Because an antibiotic masks the symptoms, it makes the chicken feel better for a little bit. You then feed that chicken for an extra week until it gets really expensive, and then the chicken dies. Because you've masked any symptoms with an antibiotic. So stay away from antibiotics as far as possible in any chicken house.
Sorry, my question is, you're talking about the post-mortem. Is there a time limit to get that chicken to the vet for the post-mortem?
Yeah, we always say as fresh as possible. But the best thing is collect morning mortalities, at least 1 hour, then you can put them in a fridge. Don't freeze things because then it makes it almost impossible for us to conduct a post-mortem. But as fresh as humanly possible. The one way that what I'd like to do on a chicken farm is just do what we call routine post-mortems. So walk in a house, collect 5 healthy birds, cull them, cut them open, see if there's anything going on in your farm. So do that once a month, do that once a cycle, whatever. Choose a day that you think would be appropriate for your birds. It's only 5 chickens out of 40,000. It's not going to kill anyone. Well, apart from those 5 chickens, but make sure that you know what's going on your own farm. Do that for every house. We do that for all the bigger producers. We do routine post-mortems all the time because then they can stay ahead of any issues. But to answer your question, as fresh as humanly possible. When as hy hoender begin blou word, dan is dit te laat. And unfortunately, a lot of times, if you don't pick up those mortalities quickly enough, they get trampled on by the other chickens. And then for us, it's almost impossible to decide what's going on inside that chicken.
My question is, there was a time, there was an instance where my chickens were dying and they were becoming purple in color. So I wanted to know what is it, and they had some sores on their skin. And 2, is that when chickens they've reached their 6th week and they're ready to be sold, can you sell that for human consumption? Is it safe?
It depends if they're turning purple before or after they die. That's very important. So chickens will normally turn blue or purple after they die if you don't pick them up quickly enough. So that's just natural bruising. But the sores, you'd have to give me more information because if it's cancer, if it's whatever, if it's just scratches from other birds, so you need to give me more information on the actual injuries that you see on the bird. Are they scratches? Are they lumps? What kind of sores are they? Yeah, there's a few things that it could be, but what springs to mind is that ammonia burn. So that if your litter is too wet or not dry enough, ammonia can certainly burn the chicken. And then scratches on a chicken is never a good thing because then that means there's not enough feed. The only way that chickens scratch each other is when they're scrambling over one another to get to feed. So you should never ever see scratches on a chicken anyway. If you can take some photos of the sores that you see and send them to us, that would be very helpful.
Can you sell them?
I don't think abattoirs will take them. You could maybe sell them to a live market. Abattoirs would certainly not accept them. You can maybe sell it to a live market or, again, someone that you don't like.
Okay. Just on the vaccination, is there a specific time or preferred time to actually do the vaccination, especially on the day old, number one? And then two, Limpopo, it's high in mosquitoes. We're battling with mosquitoes. So if you notice that already your chickens have been, beaten to an extent where you have an excessive chickens that are infected with fowl pox, I would understand. Is there anything that you can do to treat or try and prevent those who are still, remaining?
So yes, there is something you can do to prevent, and that's literally mosquito control. That's the best thing you can do with fowl pox, is making sure that the mosquitoes cannot get to the birds. There are vaccines for fowl pox to help out as far as possible, but the best control is mosquitoes. So again, remove any standing water, put up mosquito traps, those fly zappers. The mosquito control is by far the best thing to do. And then your question about the vaccinating in the hatchery, what we generally do is, as the chicken comes out the egg, you pull that hatcher basket and you start vaccinating those birds as soon as possible, because you obviously want to get the chick out onto the farm as soon as possible so that it can start feeding, because a broiler chick that's feeding, you might as well throw money into the toilet. So always make sure that your vaccines are done as soon as possible. If you decide to hatch at night, then the vaccinations must be done at night. If you vaccinate early in the morning, the vaccinations must be done early in the morning. So as soon as possible after that chicken comes out the egg, you vaccinate. Depending on which vaccines you give also. The subcutaneous vaccines take a while, because you have to vaccinate each individual bird. And some hatcheries vaccinate almost 1 million chicks a day. So you've got to be really quick and really careful what to do. The spray vaccines are quicker, because you can obviously put the whole crate through a spray cabinet, and there's 100 chicks done at once. Again, it depends on what vaccines you're using as to how long it will take in the hatchery, but as soon as possible after hatching.
I think to keep in mind with fowl pox, the one that's transmitted by the mosquitoes, it has a very long incubation period, which means that from the time it gets bitten by the mosquitoes to when you start seeing symptoms, it's anything between 12 and 16 weeks. So it's not a disease you don't necessarily want to vaccinate for in broilers. That's why mosquito control is the best option, just for the welfare of the chickens, as opposed to the worry about fowl pox.
So this one is just, I just need to know, what will happen if you mix Gamboro and Newcastle at the same time? If you give chickens Gamboro and...
So to answer your question, you should never be doing that, because you need to administer them separately. So Gamboro you'll do through drinking water, and the simple reason is that the bursa is sitting right at the end of the digestive system. So to spray Gamboro onto a bird, it goes into its eyes, nose, mouth. It's not going to reach the bursa as adequately as if you were giving it through drinking water. The opposite is true then for Newcastle. Newcastle is a respiratory virus. You want to spray the virus into the bird's eyes, nose and mouth, because it has to replicate in the trachea. So it doesn't help giving it through drinking water, because it's going to be nullified in the stomach. So you want to, again, we want to mimic natural infections of birds as much as possible with a virus. So for respiratory diseases, you vaccinate in the face, so with a spray. For Gamboro or gastrointestinal diseases, they must drink the water in so that it goes to the area where it's best suited. So don't ever mix Newcastle and Gamboro. Thank you.
Sorry. Yes. So yeah, wants to know why the chicken production went down during COVID.
I don't know that it did, to be honest. The big reason was that a lot of people couldn't travel between farms. So everything was stopped. Feed lorries were stopped. It was very difficult to manage chicken farms or to get any kind of advice on a chicken farm during COVID, because we weren't allowed to move around. And so if you had a problem on your farm, no one could come and help you. That was the major thing. But poultry and agriculture are one of the few industries that actually did better during COVID than ever before. And A stupid reason also is that when alcohol was banned, the prices of eggs went up because people could now use the alcohol money to buy eggs. The minute they opened up alcohol, the price of eggs fell. Because, I mean, I also prefer brandy to an egg. And also, if I look at Marilette's slide here, it's that any disease coming from animals can affect children and humans. Because if I look at all the animals here in Marilette's description, it's that what we call a zoonotic disease. So most of diseases that we know that affect humans come from animals. And that's why biosecurity is so hugely important.
Okay, we would like to thank Dr. James and Dr. Khadi for their time. Dr. Marilette is feeling better. She just had a very rough week and that catched up with her. So next we would like to ask, we're going to have more questions and answers, and it will be presented by Liberty from Elanco and Pretty's from Diag. We would like to ask them to come forward, please. There is any questions that... Harry, is there any 5-minute break? Is there anybody that wants to ask any questions?
Afternoon, morning. Easy questions, please. Simple.
Dumelang, hello.
Okay, I just want to add something that the doctor has just mentioned. I could hear many people who were talking about diseases, what they pick up in their farms and stuff. I just want to add that I always advise my customers to take their beds to Honesty Board. There is Honesty Board just around the corner here. They can also help you guys with bacteriology, whereby they will tell you exactly the antibiotics that you're supposed to use. Because I've noticed in some of the farms, people are using all different types of antibiotics because they don't know the type of the disease or what can actually help them to stop the disease. They will use doxycycline, they will use Cosmix, they will use ESB3, whatever is going to stop. And then that is a waste of money according to me. So if you do bacteriology, it will be able to do if Fosbec plus T, it is going to work, or any resistance with any antibiotic that you are using. And they will tell you which actives or which antibiotic will actually work in your farm. So it is not that expensive because then you will have a history. And then what they require is not that expensive. Plus minus less than 2,000 bucks, and they will be able to tell you, or they require the history of your flock. You must be able to know the mortality, how many birds, when did they start, what did you give, the vaccination program and all the stuff. That's why it's very important to do the recordings during the cycle so that you can have a history, or if something happens, then you can always refer to that page.
Thank you, Mr. Ndlovu. I just want to ask, I have another question. I have a challenge. Normally we sell chicken to the individuals. So normally people, when they want to buy chicken, they prefer to get inside the house and choose for themselves the bigger chicken. So I just want to advise me, what can we do about that?
Okay, very important, biosecurity. I think these people, they move from one farm to another farm. We just have to educate our customers. Please make sure that you wash your car and sanitize, and make sure that you have a spray with sanitizers in your house. So usually they will have crates that are dirty, maybe from the previous flock or from the previous chickens whereby they were selling. Or it's either they will bring the chickens, maybe they bought 100 somewhere and then they wanted more and the chicks were still small, then they moved to another farm. Remember Newcastle and avian influenza and other diseases, So it's very important to educate our customers. We are not allowed to just allow the customers to just walk in and then get inside the poultry house. Otherwise, if they want to do that, then they must shower in, change the protective clothing, wear the gumboots, and then from there they can get inside. And just make sure that you create a situation whereby they know that if I'm going to that farm, my car is going to be sprayed, and then I don't have to go there with the chickens. And you must have at least a knapsack with a disinfectant, spray the vehicles, make sure that the crates are disinfected as well. I think it's all about educating our customers. Same applies to you when you go out and sell. Make sure that the car is not all about washing. Water is not going to do anything. You still need to disinfect. And then with the disinfectant, the dilution is very, very important. You cannot just pour the disinfectant and then you spray, because it is not going to work. You need to know the dilution of the disinfectant and the correct disinfectant, that the actives that you need to use for spraying the vehicles, because some of them are corrosive, so they will end up damaging your car or something like that.
What I also can suggest that you do is if you can build the holding camp 150 meters away from your main houses, just to ensure if you have customers coming and they place orders with you, that you know how many quantity of chickens to take to the holding camp, and then they can take it from there, not going to your main houses. Because that maybe will also help.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks a lot.
I just wanted to add something on the question that was asked about water quality for those who are using bowl water. There are some stabilizers in markets that you can use. They'll stabilize your chlorine in the water, and if it's stabilized, then it's good for your live vaccine. Thank you. We are almost finished now, so we're going to do a lucky draw, and after that we're going to ask Gustav just to say grace, and I would like everybody to stay behind for lunch, and also please go to all these stalls and look the things out there and ask questions, and yes, let us do that. And thank you for all your time and patience. And yes, let's do the lucky draw. All of you have received numbers, little cards. So where's all your cards? Alright, so I'm going to do a drawing. You got a number ready? I wonder if we shouldn't ask that little girl. Come here, my boy. Come, girl. Come. Shuffle a bit. Come. Just stand here. Shuffle a bit. Skommel. And take a card. Okay, let's see. Alright, we've got number 052. Who is 052? There's a lucky winner. Thank you. And this was sponsored by Kitov. Thank you, Kitov, for the hamper. Give it a round of applause. Okay, thank you. I'm not going to waste your time any further, and we're going to ask Gustav to say grace.
Okay. Almal, maak julle goed toe. Gaan bid. Dankie Vader vir die kos wat ons nou gekry, Vader. Ons seën die kos. Ek seën die kos. Ek reinig dit en ek heilig die kos, Vader, in die magtige naam van Jesus Christus. Amen.
Basically, my name is I've got more than 15 years with Alfa Chicken. through these many years, I'm glad because what the quality that they are providing to me, it was very much important. Is where I gain lot of customer. And for today also, I just want to thank them for the opportunity and all the guys who are doing the presentation to remind us the importance of vaccination and to remind us the importance of biosecurity. And what I like is that what another presenter says, there is no insurance for your chicken. The only insurance that is there is to vaccinate your chicks. In other words, you have to invest more to the vaccination so that you can get more profit. And in terms of biosecurity, I learned something because remember we are human beings, we make mistakes, we forget every day, every time. I learned something that biosecurity must be practiced everywhere. To anybody, regardless as a family member, regardless if you are the owner or you are the employee, you have to adhere to the biosecurity rules, or you are the customer. And another important thing is that we have to teach our customer. If they are not teachable, someone come with a good suggestion, or we have to build a small camp and maybe 3 meter or 5 meter away from the chicken house, so that because people, people are people and customer, we have to attract them so that they can buy to us. The best solution is to build the camp outside so that they can go there and come and buy. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Maureen Kudikavekwa. I'm from a farm called Ndwale Bohadi Trading Services. It's based in Lephalale, Limpopo. I'm the customer of Alfa Chickens since 1998. So the services are always good. Since this thing is a Farmers' Day, they do this on a yearly basis. It's always an informative event, and then I'm so happy to be part of it. Thank you very much. What I've learned is about the vaccination. The other thing that I need them to put more emphasis on is the issue of the feedings. If they can give us, talk to these animal feed people to come and talk here at length about that, because we need big chickens. My customers need big chickens because I'm selling live chickens. Hopefully next time I will definitely branch into the slaughtered chickens, and then I think I will be okay. And thank you very much, Tanishali. You are always the best. Thank you. Bye.
Wonderful, informative day that we had at the Alfa Chicks Farmers' Day here in Pretoria North. Next time they have one, please come through. You will learn a lot, not just about vaccination, but about biosecurity, brooding, and everything you need to know so that you are a successful broiler farmer in South Africa.
Hallo, is Morne Kombrink hier van Chick Magnet Poultry tussen Leidenburg en Oorigstad. Ek is vandag hier by Alfa Chicks informasie boeredag. Ek het baie geleer oor die siektes en oor die temperatuurbeheer en die water wat moet skoon wees, die pH vlakke, alles. Maar let op na julle hoenders, maak seker alles is in goeie stand en dat alles reg in orde is. Dankie.
It was actually a great day, very informative. The information that we got basically will help us as small farmers to basically get our production much more efficient and effective. And the tips that we managed to share amongst ourselves, I think it will get us going and get this industry more moving towards the right direction. Thanks to Alfa Chicks and the Ross and the various guys that came through with the information. I think this should be done more often so that we sharpen our knowledge on the production line. Thanks a lot.
I'm so excited to have this opportunity to learn. Moreover, I started taking chicks last year from Alfa, and I found that their mortality is very low, and I'm managing to have progress more than I had before. And thank you for the opportunity, Alfa, and I will continue to support you because I'm learning a lot. And the information that I got today is so excellent, and I cannot compare it with any other information I got it before. Thank you.
I was here.